What's good, fellow outcasts and other rejects? It's Torch here, and welcome to WTC, the Anime Outcast. First things, if you're new here, we upload anime what ifs. Secondly, we hope you enjoy our content. If you do, make sure to like, subscribe, and ring the bell. Now let's get into the video. Our story starts with Izuku Midoriya. Similar to most others, he's still a young, green-haired boy who dreams of becoming a hero like the one he idolizes most, All Might. Though he has two significant differences to the other versions. However, this one was born with a weak, spider-like quirk just called Spider, though it came rather late compared to most other people's quirks, coming after a school field trip when Izuku was 6. He has the weak ability to barely cling to walls, while also having the fate buzzing in his head whenever something bad is about to happen. The only interesting thing about his quirk is that it slightly augmented his body, making him be noticeably more physically fit than the normal Izuku. The other difference comes in his personality. Since he was relentlessly bullied by his childhood friend Bakugo for being quirkless, he was overall much happier. He's still very emotional and has deep doubts about his weak quirk. With that out of the way, we can move on to what seems like a typical school day for Deku at Aldera High. Near the end of class, one of Izuku's teachers goes on rambling about all third-year students and how they need to choose career paths to go down, knowing full well that most of them are going to try and walk the path of the hero. Bakugo says, "Please don't lump me in with these rejects." Bakugo laughs out from near the back of the class in his normal condescending tone, before going on to say he's going straight to UA and will be the only one to make it out of this hellhole. Then going on to say that the only one born with even a remotely useful quirk is Deku, and even then it was borderline a dud. Izuku of course strikes back at his friend, saying at least his quirk didn't involve him sweating all over the place like a freak, before saying he was also going to UA, causing a bit of back and forth banter between the two before the teacher yells at them both to shut up. Then, after class, a surprised Bakugo goes up to him and asks him if he really wanted to go to UA, in a Sangare-type way. Then the two both go their separate ways, with Izuku feeling bad that even his only close friend would doubt him that much that he'd be surprised. But then again, it's been like that for years. On his way home, he briefly walks under a bridge with a strange pain feeling in his head, like needles. Izuku then leaps into the air and attempts to cling under the bridge itself, as some sort of creature rips his backpack off its straps. But he isn't able to stick to the roof for long as he falls onto the ground, landing in a thick pool of green sludge. Izuku is then engulfed by said sludge, and it starts to talk about how he'd make the perfect disguise. With muffled screams, he tries to claw his way out of the thing's grasp. He starts to get suffocated. Izuku desperately tries to do something, from trying to rip the sludge away to even making bizarre hand gestures in the hope he'd suddenly manifest some sort of extra. But alas, nothing. Nothing Izuku could do would get him out of this, as he begins to lose consciousness and probably gets his body stolen. But then, he barely makes out a voice in the distance, yelling something along the lines of "Smash." Izuku is pulled from the sludge villain, with it exploding all around the tunnel due to another attack from All Might. As Deku is put into his feet by All Might, he stares in awe at his idol in front of him, asking if he could take a picture or something, but he's just brushed off my number one hero as he imprisons the villain in a random soda bottle he had on him. All Might then wishes Izuku the best and goes to jump away, but as he makes it high into the air, he hears Deku scream that he needs to talk to him as he tries to cling onto him. Because of that, All Might is forced to land on a nearby building, giving Izuku a perfect chance to ask him a question. "Wait, can I be a hero, even with a weak quirk? Please, I need to know," Deku asks him, as he starts tearing up, thinking about all the other times and dreams have been crushed by other people who he looks up to. All Might goes to leap away as he turns back to face the boy, those words resonating in his head, a bit like he's heard something similar before. But before he could give him a proper answer, he's engulfed in a cloud of steam as he's forced into his deflated form, coughing up a lot of blood in the process. Izuku obviously freaks out over this, before All Might briefly explains the story about his injury in like the standard canon. With that out of the way, All Might finally answers Izuku's question, being yet another person to crush his dream. "Sadly, no. Not in a world like this. It's too dangerous for someone like you to become a hero. Maybe go into the police force. It's a fine job, to be honest," he explains. All Might goes on to describe the state of the world and how he'd really need a powerful quirk to combat any threat. They need to be able to run into a situation without any fear for their own safety. But Deku stopped listening after he said no, being stuck in his own thoughts trying to comprehend, getting shut down by his own idol. Then, as All Might goes to leave the rooftop, Izuku only nods while thinking about what just happened. A few minutes later, when Izuku collects himself, he makes his way down the building in sulk, his high spirits completely crushed by All Might. Then, as he's walking home, he notices a rising smoke in the near distance, in the same direction he's going. When he gets closer, it becomes much more apparent what is going on. It was the sludge villain from before. It appears the sludge villain from before must have gotten free and started rampaging through the street, somehow capturing Bakugo in the process. The street itself is utterly destroyed, most of the buildings in rubble and debris. The pro heroes on the scene were just watching in fear, watching as Izuku's close friend is about to lose his life. But unlike the pros, something compels Izuku to start running, like his body was forcing itself to move without thinking. He's sick of being helpless, so Izuku starts leaping from car rooftop to car rooftop while narrowly avoiding the creature's sledge-based attack. Multiple heroes attempt to stop Izuku from pushing forward and towards the rampaging beast, but due to his agility and mobility, when he gets close to Bakugo and the villain, Izuku starts trying to dig Bakugo out of the villain by hand. But just like when he was stuck within its clutches, nothing he could do would help get him free. What the hell are you doing? Leave, you idiot! Bakugo roars at Deku as he tries relentlessly to blast his way free with the thick explosions. But yet none of them seem to be able to pierce the thick mucus of the creature. Izuku goes to yell at him that he can't just leave him there, but before he could, a voice calls out from behind him. Apologies for not living up to his own standards. Then Bakugo is pulled out from the sledge by All Might, who suddenly appeared, while unleashing the power of a Texas Smash upon the villain, once again splattering him everywhere. Everything goes quiet as a small storm sets in. People staring at All Might with awe, since he just changed the weather with his power. The next couple of bits go similar to canon. Bakugo gets praised for his amazing quirk and brought to the hospital, while Midoriya is reprimanded for his actions by the other heroes. But Deku retorts, "You literally just stood there and watched as Kacchan was about to die. You expected me to stand there, helplessly watching." This sparks an argument between him and Death Arms, the bootleg All Might, but nonetheless, Izuku is let home pretty quickly. When he was walking home, he was in an even worse spirit than before, but when Deku turns a corner, All Might leaps out from behind it and scares Izuku before he turns into his true form. "Young Midoriya, I come with a proposition," the number one hero cheerfully announces, as Izuku stares back in shock, still being shaken by his skeletal-like form. But he plays along, asking what his sudden proposition was. So All Might explains about his quirk, One for All, saying Izuku was just like every user before him, being bored with what society would call a weak quirk, but still trying everything they could to be heroes. Plus, him running in to save his friend shows Deku's worthy of having his inherited power. Deku, of course, takes the offer of being the next holder of One for All like the regular canon. So All Might starts training him to inherit the prestigious power. The All Might's aim to pass American Dream Plan would be different thanks to Deku's body's adaptability and enhanced strength. Izuku is already at 70% of becoming a suitable vessel for One for All, and it would be more based around challenging and more effective ways to strengthen his body, letting him get One for All only 4 months after starting to train. Once the power starts kicking in, things take a rather weird turn for Izuku, like the day his powers start getting overhauled by One for All. Not only did that weird tingling in his head get even more loud and painful, but he was also having problems with releasing himself from walls, or something he touched, making it really awkward on a Monday morning. But it also boosted the strength-enhancing part of his quirk, something we'll touch upon a bit later. When Izuku first goes to use One for All on the beach, he attempts to punch a broken washing machine that had been dumped there quite some time ago. As he feels some sort of power creep up his arm and goes to smash the machine, inky black tendrils start shooting out of his forearm. Izuku starts panicking as he feels a burning sensation on his arm when he struggles to retract the webs, barely doing so before he completely destroys the surroundings. Scared and confused, Izuku calls All Might while writing down what just happened in his hero notes. At first, they both thought it was only One for All augmenting his quirk even more, but the sudden power seemed familiar to Midoriya, like he's seen it in hero history class or something. But after he did some research and All Might reaching out to some old acquaintances, they found that quirk had belonged to Lariat, the 5th user of One for All. Though the Black Whip quirk went well with Izuku's pre-existing quirk, it seemed to have blocked out the strength, boosting part of One For All for now, due to his unique biology. Though All Might suspects it won't take long for that part to kick in, hopefully. But nonetheless, Deku starts training with Black Whip, learning how to control it without burning his arm. While he couldn't get full control over it just yet, he does learn how to use smaller amounts of it for things like web slinging, capturing opponents, or shooting out in bursts. It seemed like the quirk was adapting to Izuku's unique biology. Come the day of the entrance exam, Izuku and Bakugo go to the exam hall together, both hyping each other up to pass. Though Bakugo was still skeptical that his friend could pass, nothing really changes from the written exam, though both of them are sad to hear they won't be in the same exam arena for the practical. For the practical part, Izuku would start by going around talking to people to scope out the atmosphere. While seeing who he was competing against, he meets friendly people like Uraraka, Ayama, and one person in particular wasn't the most hospitable. This is the infamous UA entrance exam. If you came here just to make friends and not take it seriously, then I highly suggest you leave. Ida announces to him, berating him for his friendly and laid-back attitude towards everyone. Izuku shrugs it off and says he was just checking out the opposition. Ida scoffs and walks off after that. When the exam itself starts, Deku goes swinging through the streets of the arena using Black Whip, while sort of letting his spider sense take the wheel, as it helps him aim his tendrils at safe spots. As for the murderous robots patrolling around, Izuku would destroy them in two different ways, the first being shoot black webs at them, trapping them in place as he crashed into them using his legs, his boosted strength enhancer from his base quirk helping out a lot. Then the second way would be a lot simpler, tearing them apart using more of the vicious side of Black Whip. This allows Izuku to start racking up points rather quickly, ensuring his acceptance into UA. Things are going great for him until he starts hearing loud rumbling in the distance, followed by terrified cries. The massive zero-pointer has entered the field and starting leveling the place. Izuku checks out from a nearby rooftop, seeing the carnage unfolding front and center. He then goes running away like everyone else, but a cry for help catches his attention. Running away, down the street below is Uraraka trapped under the rubble and debris from the robot's rampage, reminding Izuku of the sledge villain incident with Bakugo. That helpless feeling from back then comes back to Izuku like it had never left, but this time he knew he was far less helpless now. Before he could really think about the situation, he was already swimming closer to the war machine. Down with Uraraka, she looks up in fear as she's about to be crushed by the foot of the robot, only to be surprised when black tendrils wrap around the zero-pointer, stopping it dead in its tracks. She looks to the side of the robot to see Izuku, thousands of tendrils bursting out of both of his arms. One side wrapped around zero-pointer as if he was trying to tear through it, while the other side was tethered to a nearby building, keeping Izuku suspended in the air. Four Eyes get the girl. Thanks to Outcasts and Rejects for watching till the end of the video. If this video gets 20 likes, we'll continue this one, but if it gets 50 likes, we'll upload this week. Don't forget to subscribe and watch the video to get the next part early. Hey guys, so my Twitch is going to be in the description down below. I've been streaming Valorant, I'll stream Modern Warfare and other things, so if you like me, you like my voice, check out my Twitch. I normally stream around like 4 o'clock, but there's no real schedule yet, so